Because, Your Honor, I object to
What
the
do
fact
you
that
not
it's calling it
understand?
a no
Sir,
RV.
your objections mean shit to me. So you keep saying, I object, I object, I object. I don't care. I don't care what you're objecting to. I'm going to hold you in contempt the next time you cut her off.
Well, I do object to the setting aside of my motion, Your Honor.
I'm not setting aside your motion. I'm denying your motion.
Well, denying. I object to the
You
denying.
can't
of the motion.
object. You can appeal. Brother, why'd you just waste 5 minutes of my life? You got a motion filed?
Yeah, oh, yes, absolutely. I actually have issues to discuss before I cross.
But the court reporter needs to pick you up.
Here, you don't have to be at the podium, but at least have a seat at that table where that microphone is.
Threats, coercion, and I'm under duress. I'll cross.
You're under duress. How are you under duress?
Well, Your Honor, as stated in my motion, there's actually project word that was sent to me unsigned by a judge. I have lawsuits filed on all of this stuff right now, which I know that they received.
Hold on, brother. Wait. I'm just asking you to have a seat at the chair with a microphone.
Oh, I understand that. I'll do it. Okay. Trying to protect myself here.
That's fine. Just make sure you're talking to the microphone.
Absolutely.
Okay. All right, you can sit down. Okay. So I think this is your motion to dismiss, right?
Yeah, I have a few in there that I've been repeatedly trying
Okay,
to
well,
be
which one do
dismissed.
you want to start with first?
Well, the recent one I filed, the motion to reject the swearing in and all that, based off the fact that, like I said, I was sent a default motion that I don't know how it even got sent out past the day, but it was never signed or anything. I was also defaulted out the fact that there was a citation. I never even presented a court appearance.
Okay, hold
date
on.
and
You're
all
giving me
that
too
stuff.
many issues. You're talking about swearing in, you're talking about a default judgment. Just pick one issue. We're gonna deal with it one at a time. So what do you want to deal with first? You wanna
Well,
deal
my
with the
main
default?
motion. Well, yeah, the default.
Okay, so was that on the civil infraction, failed to disclose the CPL?
I suppose that's what it was under, yes.
Okay, don't suppose, it's your motion, brother. Tell me what it is.
Well, it keeps getting
I mean,
set
that's the only
aside, so
civil
I
infraction.
have numerous, I have lots of stuff.
Hold on,
going
that's the
here.
only civil infraction I see with your name on it. So I'm just confirming that we're talking
Yes,
about
it was over
that
the-
charge.
Yeah, sure. It was over
Okay. So do you know why the default was entered? Did you miss a deadline? Did you
Well,
not?
I was notified. I was called by people that I know within Huron and the police chief stating that I had a missed appearance date. I never had an appearance date scheduled, but I went back looking at the citation. There was no date, and actually, how fast it got issued raises real concerns to me. And then once I received the default in
Okay,
the
hold
order,
on, hold on. Let's take one thing at a time. So you said you never got an appearance date.
correct?
Do you have a copy of the ticket? Because I've got a
Yeah,
copy
I
of the
said
ticket.
it's in there. It's attached to my motions.
Okay, do you have a copy of
Yes,
the ticket?
I do.
Okay, then I'm going to ask you to look at that copy of the ticket. Because my copy of your ticket says contact court for appearance date.
It says contact court for appearance date. Where it says appearance date on or before, there's nothing.
Okay,
They
but
didn't
it
give me no
says,
time frame.
it says contact court for appearance date. That
How
means the
long?
monkey's on your back to contact us.
I will also on the bottom of the tickets, it says if you fail to contact court within the specified amount of time. There was no specified amount of time on here. I had no idea when I was supposed to contact court. I was dealing with trying to get my
Well, let
attorney.
me ask you this. Did you contact the court?
I was again, as I said, I had no sort of any time frame
Mr.
to
Crucell,
contact the
Mr.
court.
Crucell, this is going to go a lot easier on everybody if you just answer the question I asked. I'm going to give you plenty of chance to give me any argument you want to give. Okay? So don't feel that you have to force your argument into every question I ask. The question was, did you contact the court?
Well, Your Honor, I would have contacted the court if I had a specified.
That's a yes or no. So I'm going to take that as a no. You didn't contact the court. So after 14 days on a civil infraction, if we don't hear from the defendant, we enter default.
It was less than that actually when I was defaulted, Your Honor.
Less than that from what?
From whatever this was issued. And like I said, I was contacting.
Well, once
attorneys.
again, I'm going to draw your attention to the
Under the bright white lights of a modern courtroom, tension thickens like a storm cloud ready to burst, and every ticking second feels like the echo of a pending explosion. The camera pans across the wooden panels, the polished benches, and the judge seated high on his bench, an emblem of order, authority, and patience stretched to its absolute limit. Before him stands a man who refuses to acknowledge the system that binds him, a self-proclaimed sovereign citizen who believes that he is beyond the reach of law, government, and reason. His voice rises above the quiet hum of the courtroom, demanding recognition for rules that exist only in his mind, quoting imaginary laws and misinterpreted constitutions, his words laced with defiance and pride. The courtroom watches in stunned silence as the judge, calm but visibly drained, tries again and again to bring the proceedings back to order, his measured voice competing with the growing arrogance of the man before him. The defendant insists he doesn't consent to the court's jurisdiction, waves papers filled with meaningless legal jargon, and speaks of his rights as if he stands outside civilization itself. The judge leans back slightly, his patience worn thin but not broken. He's seen this type before, those who mistake stubbornness for courage and rebellion for wisdom. The gavel rests near his hand, a silent symbol of finality, waiting for the moment it must fall. The air feels charged as the defendant continues to rant, claiming that the government has no power over him, that his name in capital letters is not the same as his living self, that the court is an illusion meant to enslave him. Every word feels like a challenge thrown in the face of centuries of law. The judge takes a deep breath, his eyes calm but piercing, the kind that can silence a room without a single word. He raises a hand, a gesture of control that demands respect, and begins to speak, not with anger, but with authority sharpened by years of experience. His words cut through the chaos like a blade through fog. He explains, slowly, methodically, that this courtroom represents the rule of law, that sovereignty belongs not to the individual whims of ego but to the collective order that keeps society from falling apart. Each sentence lands heavy and true, dismantling the pseudo-logic the man clings to. The audience, lawyers, clerks, even the bailiff, watches as the judge transforms what could have been a shouting match into a masterclass in patience and power. Yet the sovereign citizen isn't done. He interrupts, waves his hands, calls the judge a public servant who works for him. The judge, maintaining his composure, simply looks at him with a calm that is more intimidating than anger could ever be. His voice deepens slightly, and he leans forward. He reminds the man that this court does not revolve around fantasy. It is built upon principles tested by time and upheld by people who believe in justice, not chaos. The defendant pauses, caught off guard by the unwavering tone. For a fleeting second, silence returns. The judge uses that moment to deliver the truth that will break the illusion completely. He tells the man that freedom without responsibility is anarchy, that claiming to be above the law is the same as rejecting the society that grants him protection, opportunity, and rights. He tells him that justice is not a personal playground, and that this courtroom, with its rules and decorum, exists not to trap him but to ensure fairness for all. The defendant tries to respond, but his words falter. The power dynamic has shifted, the audience can feel it. The judge's calm becomes a storm of reason that the man cannot escape. He begins to repeat himself, desperate to reclaim control, but the repetition now sounds hollow, weak, and meaningless. The judge finally lets out a sigh, picks up his gavel, and says what everyone in the room has been waiting to hear, that no amount of shouting or self-declared sovereignty changes the fact that the law applies to everyone equally. His voice rings out, final and unchallengeable, and the sound of the gavel striking wood is like thunder sealing a verdict. What follows is silence, a silence so deep it carries the weight of realization. The sovereign citizen, once loud and defiant, stands still. His eyes dart around, searching for support that isn't there. Even his own confidence seems to crumble under the weight of truth. The judge doesn't gloat. He doesn't smile. He simply moves on with the case, his expression neutral, his focus already returning to the next matter at hand. To him, this is another day in court, a place where facts, not fantasies, determine fate. The lesson, however, lingers. The courtroom, once buzzing with murmurs and tension, now feels heavy with respect. Those who witnessed the exchange know they've just seen something extraordinary, not a simple reprimand, but a rare moment where arrogance met immovable justice and shattered against it. The judge has not only restored order, he has reaffirmed faith in the very idea that truth, when spoken with calm conviction, is stronger than any noise designed to drown it out. Outside the courtroom, news of the incident spreads fast. Clips are shared, debates ignite online, and people around the country weigh in, some defending the judge's firmness, others fascinated by the strange delusions of the sovereign citizen movement. Yet one thing becomes clear. In an era where misinformation runs wild and authority is often questioned without reason, this courtroom moment stands as a reminder of balance. It reminds people that rebellion without understanding is nothing but chaos wearing a mask of freedom. The judge's speech, replayed millions of times, becomes a symbol of composure and reason, a rare display of dignity in a world that too often rewards noise over sense. The man's defiance, once loud and confident, fades into the background as a cautionary tale of how arrogance collapses when faced with quiet truth. As days pass, analysts discuss the deeper meaning behind the confrontation. Psychologists speak about the growing belief among certain individuals that rejecting authority equals empowerment. Legal experts dissect the sovereign citizen ideology, explaining how it twists constitutional language into nonsense, creating followers who see themselves as heroes fighting imaginary oppression. Meanwhile, the judge's steady demeanor becomes a model for how to handle irrational defiance with grace. He doesn't humiliate, doesn't escalate, and doesn't lose control. Instead, he stands like a pillar, calm, factual, unyielding. In doing so, he exposes the illusion for what it is, a fragile fantasy unable to survive contact with reality. The story becomes larger than the courtroom itself. It becomes about the idea of truth, about how societies survive on the balance between freedom and law, about how authority is not a weapon but a responsibility. People who watch the clip see more than just a judge and a defiant man, they see a battle between ego and order, between illusion and understanding. And deep down, they recognize that this battle happens every day, in every argument where pride blinds reason, in every debate where shouting replaces thinking. The judge's words echo beyond that small courtroom, that law, no matter how flawed, remains the thread that holds civilization together. As the video ends, the narrator's voice reminds viewers that real freedom isn't about rejecting the system, it's about understanding how it works, respecting it, and using it to protect everyone's rights equally. The camera fades out on the image of the judge setting down his gavel, his expression unreadable but steady, while the once cocky defendant sits in silence, the reality of his situation finally settling in. It's not just a courtroom clip anymore. It's a parable of modern times, a lesson in humility, patience, and truth. And somewhere in that silence, beneath the weight of justice and reason, the world is reminded that no one stands above the law, not even those who convince themselves they do.